And come back over and log into your mom's.
Alright, good afternoon everybody. We're about to get started in a second. I'm going to get all this started in every direction. Alright, is that everything?
Keep going. We're telling your friends to join our video. Okay.
So share this. Share now. And click now. Alright. I think that's good. Cool. So we're about to get started. Give me a second to let you all come in. I'm going to make sure I have all my stuff prepped out. These are all my seasonings and whatnot. We have everything nice and organized. Making sure I have everything I need to make this a wonderful cooking session. What'd you say? It didn't go through?
I said it was shared.
Yeah, Destiny's holding the camera and she said that it... Alright, cool. Cool. Alright. Make sure we got everything. Almost. We got the cream of the crop, King's Hawaiian rolls. Just delicious. So, probably toast these at some point. Would you toast them?
You're supposed to, yeah, toast them.
That makes sense. Okay. This is for toasting. Let me get a napkin.
Okay. Are you ready yet?
Yeah, we're just doing a
Hey,
give people
Lou.
a chance to hop in. Like Lou, hey Lou. Which Lou is that?
Louis, your cousin.
Louis, that Louis? Oh, hi, awesome. I'm glad to see him here. I know he likes sliders.
What are you talking about? That boy like food.
Alright, so we're about to get started. Welcome to Chef J on Sunday. We are cooking one of my favorite things apart from tacos, which is sliders. I think that they go hand in hand in terms of how easy and versatile they are. So we're going to go down the list of what you need real quick. You need 1 pound whole chicken breast, 1 whole red onion diced, 1 tablespoon of chopped fresh cilantro, half a teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 tablespoon of oil. And with oil, because we're marinating, and we're not going to be heating this oil up too much, we're using extra virgin oil because it's going to be sitting in there in the fridge nice and cold. And so we're using the cold pressed oil to keep the flavor of the olives, nice and subtle in there. And then for bread, we're using King's Hawaiian. Cream of the crop, best bread you can use for anything that size. I'll put it on anything. Eat it with my breakfast, with some eggs. So, all of your cooking supplies is pretty simple. We're going a skillet, cutting board, a knife, and a spatula. And we're putting it in the oven in the skillet if you have that kind of skillet. Can't have a rubber handle A skillet like this won't work in the oven because of this right here. You need the all metal skillet to throw it in there. But if you do not have that, use just like any kind of pan, a baking pan, anything that's not shallow like a cookie sheet. I'm gonna bring something up for you to show you what I mean. Like this right here. Right? Perfect.
Lewis said he
Chicken,
likes meatloaf
everything.
sliders. You should do those next time.
Meatloaf sliders? That
Yeah.
sounds like a good idea. A whole slider thing, a month full of sliders. That'll be awesome. So, when doing sliders, remember that your meat, when you're using ground meat, you want to dimple it so you don't get big meatballs. That's pretty important in my opinion, because I made meatballs into sliders too many times and they weren't real patties. And so, to start it off, you get a bowl. You take all your ingredients and you throw them in this bowl, and then you pick that and you put it in the bag. And when you do that, what you're doing is you're making it consistent. So if you want to make, more than you thought, you don't have to go and re-season each bag individually. You have a big bowl full of your seasoning, and then you parse it out like that. And so, if you were with us last week and the week before, you realize that red onions are essential. Red onions in terms of raw flavor. When you're cooking things, sweet onions are delicious, yellow onions. White onions are really bitter. I'm not a fan, but my favorite are some sweet red onions. They're delicious. They're the only onion I can eat raw, and it's okay. So, cilantro. Very, very good. Can't get it mixed up with parsley. It's really the smell more than anything. My sister holding the camera knows the difference between cilantro and parsley better than I do.
Yes, I do.
So she is the one who is keeping me on track in terms of cilantro and parsley usage, because I was mixing them up pretty often. Cumin. I don't use cumin too often, but cumin was again brought in my house by the person holding the camera. So just to show you that your cooking expertise, or whatever you may call it, is very, very narrow depending on what you know. And I know that I don't use certain things. And she loves cumin, and I have begun to use cumin as we're about to show you today. Cumin, I think, is one of those seasonings that, it brings out a different flavor that many people enjoy, but they don't know they enjoy it until they realize that they had cumin in their dish. Same thing goes with things like curry powder and just stronger seasonings. They have, like in oysters, anything that's an acquired taste more or less. So we're throwing everything in here, and we're using these Ziploc bags. These Ziploc bags, I double bag it always. That's just a safety thing. I always think if there's an earthquake and my bag ruptures, am I good with a second bag? Most of the time it's good. If someone wants to stab my bag, I think I'll be good because I have two of them.
Someone stabs your bag? Okay.
You never know. You never be too safe. That's how I think of it. You don't want juice all in your fridge. That's the worst. So, our utensils are pretty simple today. Just using a spatula, a pan for toasting your bread, if you want to go that route, or for searing your meat before you put it in the oven, which is also pretty awesome to do. It's pretty important if you want that crunch that you enjoy. And then one bowl. These bowls I think are pretty important in terms of a cooking standpoint. You kind of need these big metal bowls in all sizes. I use them for salads, marinades, what have you, pretty much anything.
Everything.
Everything. You just gotta sanitize them. Keep some sanitizer and very, very hot water, and you'll be good. Same thing goes with mason jars. They're as versatile as these bowls are. So we're going to move on to getting the chicken prepped for marinating and everything. So when you're marinating, you want to remember that the longer you marinate doesn't necessarily, it's not necessarily better depending on what you're using. We're going to be using lime juice, which is acidic. And so when you're using acids in marinades, it breaks down your food over time. And so eventually you're going to end up with kind of like a overcooked meat that hasn't been cooked yet. It's just tough and whatnot. This is my niece coming home from her Starbucks. Hey. So take this bowl, and if you want to do how I do and you pre-measure everything out, makes it easy to recreate later, and you don't have to think about it when you're in the process of doing it. That's pretty helpful if you're making something for a large family or something. So what we're going to do is we're going to toss in the onion. You can cook these before if you want. Same thing goes with garlic. You can roast it before for a different flavor. So you throw in everything. Your onion, your cilantro, your onion powder, garlic powder, salt, cumin, and oil.
Where's the lime juice?
So I mixed the lime juice in with the oil just so everything's copacetic. It's half a lime for one breast, a whole lime for two breasts, or keep doing it like that. But in the end, you're probably going to put some lime juice on the actual chicken anyway. So what we do now is we take all of this, we put it in this bag with the chicken, and then we put it in the fridge for about 2 hours, and we just let that sit, and it turns like a dark, it's kind of like, I'll show you. I don't want to describe it without you guys having something to see. So all the people just now joining us, I want to say welcome.
Yeah.
So when I look in here, this is what you come out with. It's double bagged, but you can see.
You can't see.
You can't see it.
There we go.
All right, cool. So you kind of want to keep it, everything covered. When I seal things up, I parse it like this, right? So if this is falling down, so there's no air in it. Flip it over, and I roll it, so I know that there's no air in there. And then I seal it up from here. And then when you roll it back out, this will be really tight, and it'll just be all condensed at the bottom. But I'm going to show you how you can begin with the difference between chicken and chicken sliders, and how cooking and slicing and all that makes a difference. So we're going to take these and move all this off my board. Okay.
I gotta get a different angle because your back is to the camera. Okay, there you go.
Alright, so plop this on your board. So at this point, you can either take a mallet and something to cover it and bang it out to thinner strips if you want to, I guess, make it last more. Like more strips comes out of a thinner piece. This becomes probably about like this big, and you get more chicken in general per square inch, I should say. But this keeps it thick, and you get like the big, nice, juicy pieces. So in here, we're going to go with, I'm going to use oil and butter to sear the outside. And we're not cooking it for very long. I'm going to go with just a little bit of oil Just a little bit of oil and a little bit of butter. This is my beautiful niece here.
Why you run?
Just a little bit of that. One knife. So because we're searing it, throw a little bit on there. And you keep it on a low temperature because we're just searing the outside. And so you don't want to overdo it in terms of trying to cook it all the way through. You don't want to burn your butter and you don't want to burn your meat. Definitely. Okay. Guess I'm going to show you guys. There's that thing I had earlier. Here it is. Here we go. Get this. Some foil. You see this?
I didn't do it.
See this right here?
I didn't do it.
Shameful.
I didn't do it.
Shameful. Alright, so because our aluminum foil, someone broke it. They broke the foil. We lay on strips for it. So, laying down your strip of foil.
Hi, Auntie.
See, shame, just ridiculousness.
I didn't do it.
I ain't even say you did it.
Hi, Auntie.
So, you got this heated up. You want to kind of blast it at a, probably like a 7 on a scale from 1 to 10 in terms of heat for the butter. And then you have your oven at 325, between 325 and 375. That's kind of, up to you, however you like to cook it, low and slow or quicker. With chicken, I always suggest you throw salt on at 2 different stages before you cook it and after you cook it, because it tastes different between the 2 of them.
Oh.
And so you throw the chicken in. And we let it sit there, and it gets a light brown texture, and you want that crunch on it. And I'm gonna wash my hands real quick.
Please stop.
All right, wash my hands. You can dry them. All right, hand to dry. Get some of this off. This is so you just take a little bit of sea salt, put it in your hand first, as you do with every seasoning. Take that over and hit the raw meat, because the marinade is liquid and you're not going to have the dry seasoning sticking to your meat as much. So if anything, you want that salt, because salt is delicious. A1. Just don't go overboard. If you want to stay low on the salt, use kosher salt. You can use less of it and it tastes more salty, but you can use like a little dash. So, so this is what you want. You want this brown, black, char.
Black, it's a char.
And the char
What you
deliciousness.
said black? Black means burnt.
Alright, and then you let that go again on the other side. Keep your butter from burning by keeping it around like 6 or 7, and you'll keep it brown, not black, and it should be all good. And then you throw it in here, throw it in your oven, and cover it up for about 20 to 30 minutes. And then once you take it out, you let it cool for about another 20 minutes or so, and then you start slicing it for your sliders. So while this is going, I'm going to show you guys how it should look on the other side. Right? So because the other side is flat, you're not going to get the ridges between like the high and light colors. It's all going to be kind of uniform. And then you just throw that into your pan, cover it with some of these juices, or some of your marinade if you feel like it.
Do it.
Well, no, I'm going to, and so you throw this in here, and you throw this in your oven. And then you get this. You get this beautiful chicken cool down. It's more or less chicken kind of chicken. I don't know why it shrinks when it cooks. I'm assuming it's because the water comes out of it. But you get it like this. So you take this cutting board away. Leave this cutting board here. So this is when you would begin toasting your bread, I would assume. You, between your chicken cooling and you making your condiments, you know, putting salt and lime in your sour cream, or grilling your onions, or what have you. At some point, when your chicken's cooling, you want to find that perfect medium where it's not hot, but it's not cold to the point where you have to reheat it. But if you do reheat it, take that marinade, put some of that over, and then toss it around, and you should be good. But let me get my knife. So always cut across the grain. So on chicken, the grain is going this way. Your grain is going this way. So it's kind of hard to tell on the camera, but your grain is going like this. And then we get over here, switches to this way. But when you're cutting, you don't want to cut like this because this is with the grain. You want to cut like this because no one wants long, stringy pieces of meat in their mouth. And so you cut, make sure it's nice and white and not dry, and you keep doing that. When you're cutting, I suggest you cut like this, because you'll never cut your fingers if you're cutting like this. You can cut as fast as you want and know you're good. So just cut like this. I always cut with presentation in mind. And so you cut the strips and you keep the chicken intact in terms of how it should be laid out. So you can tell where the chicken, you know, starts and finishes and where all the pieces are. So look at it like this. When you serve a whole chicken or whatever, a whole pork roast, a lot of times they'll slice it, lay it out, and have it for you like that. Because the name of the game is you're not supposed to give people a slice they have to cut themselves usually, unless it's something like a lamb chop or a steak where people want to cut it themselves. And you don't give people stuff they can't eat in terms of garnish, which is why I'm against flowers, because no one really wants to eat a random flower. It's just, I mean, they're edible, but they don't taste like anything.
Yes, they do.
So she's with the flower gang. I'm not with the flower gang. I don't know. Maybe honeysuckle. That's a good flower to put on food. Honeysuckle is delicious.
It is.
So you start toasting your bread. And when you're toasting your bread, you take a pan like this. You take the oil out of this. I would say you don't have to if you're trying to stay away from fat. You can use some kind of lean oil or sunflower oil or whatever, just go dry. But you take the oil from this, you start frying it up, and then you start cooking these. So I'm gonna let this sit. I'm gonna clean this out for a quick second, get some of the oil off. And you guys can look at this. Oh. Alright, you guys can look at that.
Trying to burn the house down.
Alright. So. Start off with the clean pan. Okay. Get your King's Hawaiian bread ready. They need to sponsor me. I'm looking at you guys if any of you watch this video. I need that cash for the King's Hawaiian bread sponsor. King's Hawaiian bread. Delicious and nutritious. You want to toast this and you want to keep it more or less room temperature because it's best when it's soft. When you're cooking with other stuff, like rolls and whatnot, you're going to find that a lot of times they're not as soft around the edges, I would say. Around this part. The bottom roll of the bread, they usually bake too long. So this isn't usually as soft as this up here. But with King's, they did it just right. So I'm going to throw a little bit of this oil down on the pan. Let it get nice and hot. Let's see. What else do I need you guys to know? Always keep your hands clean. For chicken, we're using boneless, skinless, white meat breast, as opposed to a skin-on dark meat thigh, which you can also use for something like this. It's delicious also, but this you can make more of it without so much. So I'm gonna start getting the condiments.
Sylvia Gardner, yummy. Yes, it smells delicious in here. Sharon, you could say he looking good, but I think that's all a matter of opinion.
Alright, so we're throwing our bread on the toast.
Stop, Zion. If I have to tell you one more time, more something.
So you got our bread toasting. And you want to get your cilantro ready. You want to grab it up here at the top and kind of pull. Try not to pull it with the stem, but off the stem. Sure. I like it like this. That's perfectly toasty.
Okay.
That's crunchy. That's not even crunchy.
Hey.
That's delicious.
Get the paper off the...
It's not on there. Alright, so get your cilantro ready. So we're going to start assembling these little sliders. Let me get a little plate to do that. So
Stop it.
So you got your two sliders, right? Chicken sliders, Mexican chicken sliders, you don't really use mayonnaise. That's their thing. They use salsa or tomatoes or whatever other moistness you want. But the idea is your chicken is moist enough to the point where you don't have to do that. So with your chicken breast, you're going to slice it once down this way. All is one. Down the long side. And this makes it slider size. This is what you want for little things like this. You go about 3, right? And just place them on your little toast. Make sure they stay up there. And then you go a little cilantro, and then traditionally you'll go with a little hot sauce afterwards. But we're not going to go hot sauce because we're trying to go all family friendly for them to enjoy it. So what I'm gonna throw on it is sour cream. And sour cream I keep in the fridge
Make sure.
all the time.
Make sure it's sticking up and stuff.
But you got to. So, yeah. Mix up your sour cream. And if you've been with us in weeks prior, you know that if you want to, you can take one of these little things, right? You take one of these little things and you pour your sour cream in it. And then you take your salt, right? Take your salt, then you put pepper, and then a little lime juice. And then you mix it all together, and then you use that as your sour cream. That makes your life a lot easier. So, take this, dollop on top. Like I said, you want to add salt after the process of cooking also. And then you know, add a little like that. Add a little garnish maybe. Then there you go. Your done chicken slider. And so in the real world, I would use a little thing of hot sauce. So in this case, you want to do it just for the color. If you want to take a nice picture afterwards, that's how it would look. So, I want to thank all the people who came, all the family and friends and whatnot. We're going to be doing a follow-up closer through the week. Earlier today we made Mexican, the tacos earlier, and that was pretty good. We always enjoy doing things multiple times to get it right, like that ice cream chocolate balloon, which didn't work out, as you can tell by the laughter coming from behind the camera.
Granny's watching.
So,
Your mom's watching.
again, this is a recap of what it is. This is the cook times. It's about 15 minutes to cut up everything and get all your ingredients together. Serves about 4 if you use a whole chicken breast. And it takes about an hour and a half in terms of cooking and marinating.
Your mom's watching.
So, what we're doing is hashtag Chef Jelani. And here's the website. newclassics.co. And if you want to head over there, we are doing catering and cooking classes and sessions.
Sylvia says, I love watching you cook. I have learned a few things from you.
Well, awesome, Sylvia. I'm glad. We always hope that at least one person takes something away from it, and if so, it was worth it. And so, go onto the Facebook and look at the old videos if you haven't already. This chicken slider, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try to get someone to bite into it.
Uh-huh.
Right?
She ain't gonna do it. I will.
Bite into it.
You
You
know
gonna bite into it?
I'll bite into it.
All right. So let us know how it tastes.
It'll be better. I didn't have this clay mask on.
No. Just bite into it. All right. Describe what it tastes like.
It's delicious.
Is it really delicious, or are you just saying that?
No, it's actually good. It's cooking meat a little too long. What'd you get?
Got it. She says we cooked the meat too long, so I'm gonna say, always remember that if you want to keep your meat nice and cooked at the perfect temperature, take it out about 5 minutes early, and it will cook over because of the heat inside of it. Recipes don't always tell you that, but if it says cook it for an hour and a half, you might want to take it out an hour and 10 minutes. Make sure it doesn't get too dry. So, Chef Jay, newclassics.co. We will be coming at you next week with something that you guys suggested, most likely. I think I might have to go with the suggestion of meatball or meatball sliders.
From
Sounds
Louis.
pretty good, yeah. Something I haven't done before. So, until next time, Chef Jay on Sunday. Enjoy watching football or whatever you're doing afterwards. Goodbye.